Good evening and welcome once again to Lowy Talk on TV4, the program where we don't interview. We held discussions or hold discussions with persons of interest, discussing different matters, varying matters, topics of interest. And of course, this evening, we have decided to re-invite our panel of last week, which includes Mr. Nestor Sullivan, former educator, CIC Old Boy. CIC Old Boy, and of course, a very learned man when it comes to the history and the origin of the steel pan. Welcome to the program once again, Mr. Nestor Sullivan.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here again to share with your viewers and yourself and the panel here.
You didn't expect me to go there. Also, I'd like to invite once again Mr. Ken Rick, Professor Fillmore.
No, just Ken.
Just Ken.
Just Ken.
Leave it as Ken.
This week is different.
No.
Just Ken Fillmore.
And when I was looking, I saw that the name Pro came about. There was a particular pair of glasses you used to wear in your younger days.
That was them old Woody Allen.
The old Woody Allen. That is how the name Professor came about.
Yeah, so I don't look like a pan.
So welcome back to the program once again,
It's
Ken.
good to be here again.
And Mr. Amrit Samaru, the son of the legendary Jit Samaru. Amrit, who has been playing the steel pan since the age of 6, and he has done marvelous things. Welcome to the program,
Thanks.
Mr. Samaru.
I learned a lot last week, so I want to continue to learn.
And there are a number of persons who I have met and spoke to over the past week. Wanted to extend greetings and best wishes to your father,
Yes.
who has done so much for
Appreciate
Trinidad
that.
and Tobago and also for the steel pan fraternity. So all the best to your father, and of
Thanks.
course on his continuous journey.
Thanks.
Also, folks, if you want to reach us, we are streaming live at www.facebook.com/OurTV4 and also GISL limited.tt/TV-4. You can also follow us on Twitter at OurTV, #LewyTalk. Our phone numbers are 675-8747 and 675-8749. So much to talk about, and before you know it, time actually runs away on us, because time actually ran away on us last week. Yeah. So this is part 2 of our discussions. Last week we had a chance to talk about pan from then till now. We talked about the new developments in pan. We talked about young persons getting involved with the pan movement. We talked about the history, but one program really can't talk about the history about the steel pan. So many more programs we may have to add on, so to speak. But this week, last week, Mr. Sullivan, you were trying to make the point about, where are we going next? And there are so many things that we could talk about in terms of adding, in terms of the pan movement and where we should be based on the time in terms of where we started so many years ago.
Well, what I was dealing with, what I was alluding to last week, is the fact that I remember I was making a comparison with football and England starting football, and right now they have 209 countries with football. I mean, we never took time to study what the British did, but just generally we know that they spread the influence all over the world. And I was remarking that we created this instrument here. It is embraced by about 60 countries out of 237 countries on the planet. And I still think that we're not doing enough to capture the rest, because it's music. Music is universal. The language is universal. Regardless of what country you're going, music is present. We are providing an instrument. Europe provided the instruments that we know as in all over the world. The violin, the piano, the guitar, the saxophone, the trumpet, the trombone, the double bass, the tuba, even the kit drums. They invented that. We have put on this planet a family of instruments, a complete orchestra. So we are legitimate. And I don't accept the point of view that we must treat ourselves as second class and third class because we come from the third world, because we come from a small country. I don't buy that. Music is music, regardless of what country it comes from. So I figure we have a responsibility to expose it, present it, deliver and develop in all parts of the world. And I think we have a lot of people who could carry out them responsibilities. Pro does do that. Well, Amrit probably now starting, but Jit and them fellas do that. They were all over. Look, it go back to Southern Symphony. Remember Bonaparte brothers? Between 1959 and 67, they tossed 42 countries. They introduced Pan, Lincoln Noel, deceased, tuna, he was at Belgrave Bonaparte. There's a song called Mommy Blue. You know that? Oh, Mommy, Mommy Blue. Julio Iglesias sing it and it sell millions. That was composed by Theophilus Trim. He's from Labre. He used to play tenor in Southern Symphony. He lives in Spain right now as we speak. You know? Our people have been on their own trying to promote this instrument about the world. The last discussion we were having, I was arguing that it's time we make it a national policy to train people, fellas like Amrit and Pro and them young fellas, who could train other people, you know, a next generation, prepare them to be able to be proper pan tutors in different parts of the world. I watching television last night, they have a new sport, something with rope, two rope thing, that's a new sport. We didn't invent that, but it come. Similarly, we have to posit the steel band in countries that don't have it. I was looking at a map of the world the other day and I was examining how much countries without it, you know. So that is, for me, the future is that we have an industry. The steel band industry employs thousands of people. It generates millions of dollars annually. It employs some full-time, like Pro might be a full-time, might have some part-time, some people who might be players and different roles they play. But it is an industry. If you look at the classical meaning of the word industry and you apply the steel band, it fits. So we shouldn't treat it as, you know, that cultural thing. It's that too. But it is industry. And we must be training people for industry. We have an oil industry. Don't we have programs that train people to carry out the different responsibilities in that industry, to generate capital, to earn foreign exchange, to create employment opportunities and that kind of thing? We're doing that with oil because we discovered that. But we have the steel band. That is an industry. That is an industry with global tentacles. It could reach out to the world. And we playing bashful.
I agree totally, because I've been to a number of universities that, you know, you could get your PAN degree that studied metallurgy in a very, very serious way. That promoting, even the stand that I play Amrit is an aluminum stand. You can lift up the stand with your little finger. Yeah. Right. That was produced by University of West Virginia. They are producing this and selling this worldwide. So I agree totally with Nestor. It can't be just the panorama thing and the carnival thing. It's just like how you say you want to build a road from Point to Port of Spain. You had to look at it in that way. You had to put out that kind of money to generate steel. The steel band industry could generate hundreds of millions.
Yes.
There are tuners right now you can't get a pan from in the States under 2 years.
Yeah,
Pioneer Incorporated and these guys. And here how they're selling these bands. They're selling them small, medium, and large. You know who taught these guys? Trinidadians. Roland Harrigan. Till they got rid of Roland, you know, all due respect, my brother, great tuner. And they start to build their own instruments. After Roland teach them everything, they start to build their own stuff. And they're selling small, medium, and large steel bands, even the miniature pans and all. They have the connection for all these stands, sticks. You know those drum kits that come with those Yamaha drums that come in the big case and so on. They hook up with the company mark. So these people, they know how to do it. Now we have a whole big government system here. This is the mecca of pan, you know. The political will is well lacking. We're full of oil. And as I always say, if we didn't have oil, maybe we might not have pan, but if we didn't have oil, they would have to depend on me for tourism, the pan men. But it's even bigger than just the panorama thing. It's empowering the youths. It's like when you learn to tune it or make a pan, that it have work after, or somebody learn to play the instrument. Yeah. That when all these programs that they have, all these summer programs that they spoke about last week, where is the hope after that? As a self-employed person, I just had to really push it and work hard. But I live in Trinidad again. I just really had to keep on top of the game. As I tell you, make sure my pants shining and dressing the part I'm playing the music properly. I have my band, plus I just do my tracks, but depend on whatever they, and it's about the political will, the corporate people to get involved. They're not seeing the wealth of pan, because we're rich already, natural gas, oil, this, that, the other, you know what I mean? But we're losing it, or we probably have already lost it, I would say.
Well, it's declining.
It very much so declining here. Bands don't tour again. People don't want to, tuners ain't making that money like they used to make before, because they're doing everything else. Europe, Japan, America, North America, you know what I mean? So we need to start to get involved more, to employ our own, according to what you said, teach our own. Let's make it a big industry, guys, man. This is a very expensive business.
You mentioned tuners, and in terms of the role of tuners. And what about you, Amrit, in terms of what you might not have walked the same road as these gentlemen. You might have heard a number of the stories through your father and others. How do you feel in terms of the role of tuners coming in, looking at maybe younger tuners getting involved, and of course the future of pan with the younger tuners?
Well, I mean, they play a hell of a role. I mean, without them, we don't have the instrument. Right. And I mean, the kind of innovation that people like, Butch Kellman, Guppy, that's the thing. It is all of them. And all of them bring something different to the table and what they specialize in. And I mean, these guys they have created the modern song of the instrument now, which sometimes you hear a steel band play and you're thinking is an organ. Kitchener always used to say that. You're thinking is a symphony playing, and when you catch yourself, it's a steel band. Right. You know what I mean? And these guys have got the instrument to this standard. Now, what we're missing is the younger ones coming to the fore, because they are there. Because as Mr. Sullivan was saying earlier, they had numerous projects and classes in tuning and creating, making the instrument. And we have a lot of promising youths out there, but I don't know if it's the confidence factor is one, but the opportunity to actually make the instruments because I mean, this thing it is learn with experience. More you produce is more you learn. And I mean, I think all of them can attest to that. But we have to create some kind of avenue for these guys to find themselves, because I know a lot of them personally. In the game, but not really in it. You have to wait till one of these guys fly out to get a call. Say, I need a tuner now. And so they will step in the game. And they're doing a hell of a job.
Well, what about you? This is the time that you're existing in now, and we're all existing in now as a younger person now. Exposed to social media and all these other different mediums. The young gentleman to my left here, very young gentleman, and this is no insult to the gentleman, had to maybe become more accurate with the changing of times, or maybe have persons as a support committee, to really keep them up to date. As a younger person here right now, do you think with all that is available, is it easier now to get ourselves out there? Because we still hear some of the cries in terms of the political will and the political support and the persons who have the opportunity to push us there. With all that is available right now, do you think that it is an easier time, or the opportunity is there for us, but we are just not making use of it?
Well, I mean, that's one way of looking at it. But wait as if the glass half empty or half full is what you make of it. Totally understand that point. I mean, but some of us, to make a living here, I mean, is a totally different ballgame to making it out there. I mean, out there, some people say it might be easier. I don't think so, because they have a lot of good tuners, as Pro was saying earlier. A lot of tuners. I mean, tuners, you say one teacher think he quote a number like 3,000 people he teach the tune and that kind of thing. They fill in the industry, the needs are in the industry. I mean, we have a small niche here, but the quality of our skill and our product, I think could rival. I mean, we see benchmark.
Lester will tell you, Mark, they came and they learned.
Yeah.
They came and they learned. I don't want to call names. There were certain individuals that came here and played in every steel band, Renegades, Phase 2, etc., etc. They came and they learned, and they went with their knowledge, and now they're huge. Same thing goes for the tuners. They came here also, but then too, there are some, like I tell you, the great Elimanet out there.
Yeah.
There's hundreds and hundreds of tuners this man had taught. So we could have never really hold on to that forever.
Yeah.
We know how to create that niche according to, I hope you agree.
Yeah, the thing with Elimanet now, University of West Virginia in Morgantown, they allow, or they resource, they put a policy in place, they have a program in place for training young tuners. I had the opportunity to meet people who would have gone to Ellie's, who graduated from him. They're earning a serious living as tuners, not in the United States, I met one in Paris. He based in Belgium, France, Austria, and Portugal. I meet the next one, there's a lady who was here, she tuned for, she's the first female to blend a complete orchestra in Panorama. She's a graduate from Elimanet School. Now compare that to the program we had here that was done jointly by UTT and MIC, an advanced pan tuning program. 47 tuners passed through that program over a period between 2005 and 2012, I think, over a 7-year period. 47 people. What was needed is to start the program earlier, like in Ellie's case, right? You could go into the West Virginia thing and start from zero. You know nothing about tuning. And in 6-7 years, you're a complete tuner, having gone through the process. We needed to start our people. We needed to take people out of secondary school and start there with them. Apprenticeship period, then into advanced pan tuning. You know what we did in Trinidad? We shut it down. We closed it off. So it means that this generation of tuners that we have here, if at the end of them, we have no tuners.
That's it.
You understand what I'm saying?
So
and that's a very narrow view. That is a view that doesn't speak to the industry, That's a view that speaks to lack of self-confidence and no view of yourself as leaders. You have to follow all the days of your life. As we speak, there are more pan tuners outside of Trinidad than in Trinidad. Some of the advantages some of these guys have outside, they get the quality steel that they want. They would go to a factory and they would go with specifications. I need this type of drum for this range of instrument, this amount of chemical, this, I can't say it, but I know about it.
Yeah.
And they get it. Long time, since in the 1980s, there's a place in Switzerland, they ordering drums from the same place that supplies Mercedes then, with metal, and they get in drums to specification. When I was an officer in Pantrimbago, I remember going to the drum factory down in La Brea, Van Leer, and we went to argue with them. When I say argue, put a case to them to get drums to specification. The only thing the man do is call police. So he put me out of his place. We can't come here with that because we telling him he would have to remodel all his machines and do this and do that and the car do that. Their primary reason for producing drums was to supply for the oil industry. We were a secondary interest. And we went to ask to upgrade our thing now, make it, a primary thing then. Make drums to suit steel bands. The man from Van Leer almost cussed me, put me out. And he closed the door and thing in my face and said, don't come here, all that kind of thing.
And according to what Nestor said too, using these oil drums now, there's a poison he was talking about that kill people.
There's evidence of a tuner who died directly because of his daily interaction with these drums, with the skull and the 2 crossbones, the poison.
And the sad part is, them drum the song The Sweetest Boy.
Right, and then they have another guy, a young guy in another part of the country. Young guy get a heart attack because of his relationship with these drums, I think now Pantrimbago has announced that they have a factory producing drums. That is good, But what we need is the drums with specifications, the quality of metal to make a bass, would essentially be different from where you're making a melody pan with or a middle section. You know what I mean? It have a scientific thing.
That
and
would be a
gauge
very,
and all
very
that.
good thing. But
we
before
can't talk much on that because I think as an expert in them kind of science thing. I just know it has worked so in other countries. But
the program Larry Talk on TV4, of course, so much more to talk about when we come back after this break. Do stay with us.
Every Wednesday is Sports Wednesday on TV4. Join us for exciting discussions on all your favorite sports. Stream it live on www.gisLTD.tt/TV-4. Tweet the panel using hashtag Sports Wednesday or call in and share your views. Don't miss Sports Wednesday, live Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on TV4, Our TV.
At Petrotrin, our corporate social responsibility is an important element to how we do business. We are committed to ensuring corporate kindness is fulfilled externally and internally. At Petrotrin, we are mindful of our role as a responsible state-owned entity, and we are committed to developing programs targeting the social and economic development of our host communities and the nation at large. Petrotrin will continue to foster and maintain close relationships with its various communities, as empowered communities are important for an empowered nation.
The National Integrated Business Incubator System was designed to bring together all of the services that entrepreneurs need to grow and flourish. IBIS offers a host of services, including financing through the form of loans up to $100,000.
So the IBIS program afforded Candy Heart Selectable Lights the physical space to operate my business at the Sandy Grande Incubator, located on the Manzanilla Road. I would like to say a sincere thank you to the IBIS program, management, staff, and all who's been there with me from the beginning up until this time, from taking me from where I was to where I am now today.
To register and for more information, please visit medco.gov.tt or the Ministry of Labour and Small and Micro Enterprise Development's website.
Join the talk. Tweet the panel using hashtag LewiTalk. Comment on our Facebook page, Our TV4, or call in and share your views. Lewi Talk.
We're back on Lewi Talk TV4. And here with our panel, Mr. Nestor Sullivan, Ken Professor Fillmore, and Amrit Samaru. I am Mark Anthony. Once again, to remind you of those numbers, 675-8747 and 675-8749. So the phone lines are now open. You can connect with us at any time. Ken, you had a point that you wanted to make.
I just wanted to make such a real important point. The great tuners in this country is men like Lloyd Gay, Bertram Kellman, Guppy Brown, Roland Harrigan. Now, when these guys go, these guys, I'm not saying I leave out one or two others, you know what I mean? But and these guys are not young people. When these guys move on, what next? We might have to look to buy pants from Japan or from the people that learn in the States that eliminated and them taught. My suggestion is that the same people that were learning that the program I talked about, instead of shutting down that program, the government's supposed to pull in these great tuners that have the gift and the talent. Yep. This is something you can't write down. You can't write. This is something you have to feel, and there's a lot of practice, as you said. Put these young people under their wing. Pay these tuners a great stipend at the end of the month, because what you want to continue is the continuation of the Mekov pan. Yeah. With all the tuners, it takes nothing for me. I need to play. That's it. You understand? And that's a very frightening scenario. So we're supposed to be doing this ASAP, I believe. ASAP.
Yeah, because I remember too, I was close to the course that was done, the advanced pan tuning course over the period of time. And the subject areas, including the core activity, was tuning, right? And they would have to tune. There was a master tuner supervising that process, and another master tuner looking at the end product and giving advice and so on, right? And making observations. When what was needed is these people who were doing the course, they were also exposed to other subject areas, right? For instance, they were exposed to, well, it was 700 hours, contact hours for the course. 650 was tuning. Other areas included science of song, metallurgy, understanding vibrations, all that kind of thing, workshop theory, music theory, and that type of thing, you know. And history of steel band, international marketing, that is some of the subject areas they did. But the main activity was tuning, and not just tenor, they had to tune all the instruments in the orchestra. Tenor, double second, go right down to bass, you know. This was a program that produced 47, or took 47 people who could already tune, took them from, let's say, this stage and took them to another level where now they are full-time professional tuners earning $1, some home, some outside of Trinidad. I mean, I was in Paris at the time and I'd see one of them pull up. He now finished the course and he in Paris tuning. Once is a tuner from Trinidad land in these countries. There's Russia, you know, all them pan people that come out with a pan looking for, you know, the white blend, you know.
Everybody wants
from home.
The pan blend.
But before we continue, we have our first caller on the line for this evening. Welcome to the program, Levy Talk. Good evening. Oh, I think we lost that, bro.
Yes, and this is exactly what's happening when we leave to go away. As I was mentioning before the program started, they want, you know, we play classics. You know what they play out there? Rebecca, Pan by Storm, Pan Ecstasy, Iron Man.
That's classics too.
This is a different kind of classic, but they play in Trinidad because they want to be like us.
Let me add something to that. What is happening there? That is another source of income. If we're looking at industry, one of the things in the industry is providing instruments, right? That's the hardware, instruments and the stands and the case and the accessories. Yeah. The software is the music, the sheet music. Yeah. Now that's what they're doing. They're taking these panorama arrangements. I remember witnessing in 2010, my band played in a festival in a country where other steel bands were performing in Japan, in Yokohama. And when the players came, I didn't go on the tour with them. When they came back, they were talking about these bands playing panorama tunes from bands in Trinidad. What they do, they get the sheet music and they learn from that. You know, that is a source of income also, sheet music.
But you see, this is what Pioneer did because we don't have no outlet here for that in Trinidad where you could go and buy a whole panorama score. But this is what Pioneer Incorporated did. And guess who hired them? Trinidad.
Thank you. We have a caller on the line. Good evening. Welcome to Levy Talk.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, sir.
To the panel.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to say a special good afternoon to Mr. Pro. For some years gone by, Sheraton, my nickname is Chubby the Straightener.
Okay, all right.
If you could remember that, Pro, when you were in Sheraton and you were now starting to be fun and your father giving you trouble.
When we don't say beat but play, I know what they say, you know.
Hello? You remember Toby, Pro?
Yes, I remember. Yeah, I remember you well. How you going?
Well, so far, so good.
All right.
My contribution to Pan Trade with Kenbego, I would like to see you all run this part of that business. Start running this, forget somebody in the business sector and pick up this pan business because this year's gone, boy, too many bam, and nobody reaching nowhere. This one want to fight for captain, the next one want to do this, and the next one want to do that. So I would like you all to run this pan as a business. Thank you, and best for you, Pro.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Gentlemen, especially around carnival time or leading up to the carnival season, you spend most of your time, your lives in the panyard, sometimes on the road. And when you look back to the days gone by, growing up, when your parents used to want to beat you for being in the panyard, and they have to sneak out to go into the pan yard. What is it like now, and what is the pan yard life like now, as as compared to when you look back?
Well, I would tell you now, I think parents has encouraged the children more now, because the stigmatism of pan and how the violence and all those things them been going from long ago. And my father came from that era, so it was an ignorance that we didn't know anything about, you know. For me now, the opportunity is there. Look, Panorama, people walk off the street, you know, Mark. This is a very free, as I tell you, the culture of pan, 98% of TNT don't know the pan yard life and how great the pan yard is, like a pot of gold, you know, if you agree with me.
We have another call on the line before we continue. Good evening, welcome to the program.
Yeah, good night.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, this is a real nice program that you all have in here tonight.
Thank you.
And I'm very much surprised that they didn't have a lot of more people, tuners that, you know, call in, you know, to the program, you know, concerning the pan tuning thing. You know, what I want to find out from Mr. Sullivan is that is he aware that they have a pan tuning course going on at Fozata's Pan Yard right now? And that pan tuning course is people from Nigeria, right? Whoever, don't know if it's Pan Trimbago or whoever, they have people from Nigeria right now learning to tune pan. What I want to find out is that when these fellas finish the course and they get the certificate or whatever, are they going to come back to Trinidad and Tobago to tune pans for us? Or, you know, instead of they have people here that learning, you know, to make pans and tune pans, they have people from Nigeria coming here to learn, to take our culture away. You know, so I would like Mr. Sullivan to say something on that.
Well, that is news to me, but it is not the best news. Even if we have people from Nigeria, nothing wrong with training people to tune. But more importantly, we have to train our own. We have to take young guys and start to take them through the paces of learning to tune. From the rudiments, from syncing, then grooving, raising notes, bringing in notes, fine-tuning, everything, the whole process.
I was part of that trip to Nigeria twice. That we sent a contingent twice to Nigeria. Nigerians are very, very interested in the pan instrument.
But do you also see it as they're taking our thing to go with it?
I ain't seen it like that.
No, they're not
the
taking it like
Americans
that.
do the same thing, the British, the French, the Germans, all of them doing that.
Nigerian music and soca music is like cousins.
Yes, high life. That is correct.
It's the high life music, my brother.
And this is not the first time Nigeria is present learning to tune. Back in the 1980s, a group of Nigerian soldiers and police, I can't remember.
Yes.
They were in Trinidad, they spent a little time learning to tune. Then inside Nigeria itself, there's a chief called Bowie Bowie. He has a whole pan tuning and tutoring program. You know, I met him, I had the opportunity to meet him in London.
He's a chief.
Year.
Yes.
Yeah, Chief Bowie Bowie.
Has a big
and he's doing some important kind of stuff, you know. Even with the chroming process and that type of thing, he has a kind of special machine and all that kind of thing, you know what I mean? So they are doing some work. So it's good to hear the thing developing in Nigeria. And it's also good to hear that they look to Trinidad as the source of knowledge. So they come here, you know. What we need to do, we need to set up these things in different parts of the world. Encourage different parts of the world to come here, to shop here, to learn here. Because we are the bosses here. But I saying that, but that is not the official position, you know what I mean?
Like me personally,
we just treat it kind of second-hand like.
I know what it is to be a teacher. Me personally, with this whole pan thing I'm read, this is all I know. I grew up playing music, is all I know, but I'm playing the pan. What I intend to do after I do all this traveling and gigging on stage, because I love to perform on the stage and things like that. A musician's dream, I love to do my improv.
Course, yeah.
But I go in and open my school, or two, or maybe 3, 4, the Ken Professor Fillmore Pan Institute, because I know we need to start teaching our own about how great this instrument really is. It's because of lack of the knowledge, you know. A lot of Trinidadians don't know how wonderful this instrument called the pan. Double tenor, double seconds, bass, and according to you, it's a whole orchestra. We just don't know. Ignorance means lack of knowledge.
Thank
we
you.
don't know.
And I want you to just remember your point. We have a caller holding. Good evening, caller. Good evening. Welcome to Levy Talk. I think we may have lost that call. Ken, you were making the point.
Yeah, so for me, my giving back in a sense, because I taught before, when I used to do Pleasantville Senior Comprehensive, and a lot of these guys turned professional, a lot of them in Asia, who on cruise ship, who in Europe, a lot of them. So I have a good knack for teaching, as I tell you. I just came back from those 2 courses with those 2 schools, and at the end of the workshops, the parents, the school, everybody coming out, is 700-800 people in the audience. These people are broadly willing to learn. So me giving back to Trinidad, that's what I really want to do in the end, because we need it forward. Our children, you listen to me, every house have a burglar proofing in this country.
We have another call on the line. Good evening. Welcome to Levy Talk.
I want to see one of your beat the drum behind you.
You want somebody to beat the drum behind it.
You would like to see someone beat the drum?
That would be a different program.
That would be another program. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Hopefully we play.
Maybe another time. And I don't think they want to see me play. But so many developments, so many things to talk about, so many things that we might be concerned about.
Jean-Michel Jarre, you remember him?
He brought Renegades in 1990 to France, and they had this presentation in Paris.
On Bastille Day.
Yeah, they had a whole thing, kind of high-tech presentation at the steel band and blow people's mind,
Yeah. Oh,
in fact, it was a...
We have another call on the line. Good evening. Welcome to Levy Talk.
Hello?
Good evening.
Marky, how you doing?
Auntie Di, how are you?
Okay. Ken, how are you, baby? This Derek, Mom.
I'm fine, Mom. I'm fine. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
Auntie Di
nice
from
seeing
St.
you.
James.
What I would like to see is, you see, the pan should be a subject in every one of our schools in Trinidad and Tobago.
Make it
You
part of the
understand?
curriculum and make it a must.
Okay.
Well,
love
Mr.
you
Sullivan,
all.
as a former educator, might be able to add a little bit more to that.
what
Thank you very much, Auntie Di. And before you answer, there's another call on the line. Good evening. Welcome to Levy Talk.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Welcome to the program.
Thank you all for the calls observed.
Thank you.
Ken, Professor Fillmore.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Hollis Clifton.
Okay, Hollis Clifton. Well, I was just talking about Pleasantville Senior Comprehensive. So these were one of the teachers that I got 110% support in teaching these little guys who were 14 and 15-year-olds. And hear what I used to tell them. There's not many professional pan players in the world, so why you can't be one? And they took the advice. Yes, Hollis, sorry, but...
Yes, Ken, I want to congratulate you for all that you have done for the graduates of Pleasantville Senior Comprehensive School. They have moved from junior sec to senior sec. Fonclair, they were the seeding ground of Fonclair, then Skiffle and all the bands. And some of them are arranging all over the world. Some of them are on cruise ships. So your work is never ended, bro. So keep the flag flying.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Clifton. Thank you.
All right, cheers.
Thank you, sir. You were making the point, Nesta.
The person was asking about pan education.
Yeah.
Now, music education took a little time to really establish itself, especially in the primary school. And now we have a thing called Pan in the Classroom unit that delivers music programs based on using the steel band instrument. I think they have a huge amount of primary schools and secondary schools that are exposed. They all have a 16-piece orchestra. They have a room, and they have it as a subject. Guys are employed as pan tutors. They service these schools and that type of thing, you know. I had the opportunity to deal with some of them and know some of the guys who are pan tutors, you know. In my band, we have a couple of them too. Some of the guys who were in the National Steel Band, Curtis Jones and Clarence Morris and these guys, they now full-time tutors in schools and things, you know. And we have pan as in the music programs. And the caller was talking about have pans right through schools. Now, we have different subject areas that you could connect a pan. You have social studies, you know, because remember you raised a question just now about life in the panyard. That's a subject for social studies. You know, to understand the effects of being in a panyard then. In a panyard, you go to a play pan. Somebody next to you playing in your section, they don't know the piece. You have a responsibility to teach, to show, to share, you know, to uplift. Not that heckler, it has small talk and thing, but the primary function there is to bring everybody up to a standard. That could only be a positive kind of a message, you know. So to understand that, it have sociology and it have psychology too, things like self-esteem, then followership and leadership and that all that kind of thing you would discover in Panyard, you know. Who could speak well, who have leadership qualities, who would become the captain, who would be the secretary, who would be the public relations officer.
An important part accounts.
The accounts part, you know. Now, the truth be told, let me just make one point. The truth be told, what we need, a lot of the bands, we need professional training in management techniques. Because we come to steel bands just what we serve them. And we want to make it this greatest thing, but we need to apply proper education programs in steel band management techniques because there's a serious weakness in the movement. It's a modern world. Bands, look, if you take one area of management, international promotion, how many bands are prepared to promote themselves internationally? How many bands have developed tools for marketing themselves?
I have to jump in at this point. We have another caller on the line. Good evening. Welcome to Larry Talk. I know you're Good evening. Welcome to Larry Talk.
Yes, hello. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Mr. Sullivan.
Go on.
I would like to get some assistance, please. I'm a teacher at a school in Belmont. How do we go about getting pans into our school?
Okay. Straight up. You go to the Ministry of Education. The Pan in the Classroom unit is located on Frederick Street, upstairs, Laughing Buddha. That's the place I know it was the last time. It's a division of the Ministry of Education. You go there and make your case, right? And if you're having any difficulties, come and look for me.
Well, I know where to find you. I am also affiliated with Birdsong, and my daughter is affiliated with Supernova.
Okay.
All right, but you well connected, man.
Yeah, I'll find you.
You're safe.
Thank you very much. So gentlemen, and you know, as we look down the road, and you know, what's next for us? Are we getting there? Are we talking about the problems, not finding solutions, or solutions are not being provided? Are persons listening?
Well, the reason why I decided to come to do this talk show, of course, I want to really thank GISL for talking and, you know, having a show of such importance to the Pan fraternity and to TNT. The reason why I came on the show, I hoping that we could get some kind of results after this. To say personally, I don't know if you want me to take a placard and go in front of the Prime Minister's office or something, you know. As I tell you about me personally and my drive with this 12 notes, this jealous lady music, according to what they just said, this jealous lady 12 notes teaches you so much. Respect, kindness, honor, proper attitude. I know in this business it's all not about skill, you know, and because of that jealous lady. In this business, if you want to make it as a professional, it's 80% attitude and 20% skill. The people don't want to care how good a man is, and if you don't have the proper attitude, they're hiring you. So, you know, and music did that for me. I'm not saying that I suffer in Trinidad because I do work, but it's something that I had to teach myself to manage my own business, practice hard. They want to look good, and then of course you're playing a pan, and the first 7 people see a pan and they're walking somewhere. Oh God, is a pan coming here? I went through a lot of that, so I could tell you about the before and the after story. So I hope we get somewhere after these discussions on GISL and the right as it gets.
I hope so too. We have to take a break right now, but remember the phone lines are still open. Those numbers once again, 675-8747 and 675-8749. We'll be back.
It's time to go local for real. TV4 presents For Real, a block of local film entertainment every Friday night from both fresh and seasoned homegrown filmmakers. This week's films, Julia and Joyce, two stories of two dance icons. For Real, this Friday at 10 p.m. exclusively on TV4, Our TV. Brought to you by our gold sponsor, the Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism, Division of Culture, assisting nationals in success in the cultural sector.
My name is Dariel Rampasad, and I am a project assistant in NEHRS. I also worked as a field officer alongside the project team for InvoCab, improving innovation capacities in the Caribbean. I conducted, alongside some of my colleagues, the needs analysis surveys in the selected schools. This gave us the opportunity to really capture a lot of the perspective teachers had in terms of their teaching experiences, as well as their opinions on the delivery of the curriculum to students. And InvoCab really provides an opportunity for teachers to motivate students in science learning, science education. And we look forward to implementing InvoCab on a greater scale from this point on.
Trinidad and Tobago now is honored and privileged to be part of this pioneering project since last May, whereby Samsung Smart School Solution operates in conjunction with the Galaxy Note 10-1, Samsung's latest Android-powered tablet device featuring the advanced S Pen technology. My understanding, the S Pen provides the functionality and precision of a pen and paper on the tablet's 10.1-inch display.
Join the talk. Tweet the panel using hashtag LewiTalk. Comment on our Facebook page, Our TV4, or call in and share your views. Lewi Talk.
Welcome back to Lewi Talk on TV4. And the discussion is going so good, folks, and time is running away with us. And maybe we'll have a part 3, I don't know, but they say they have so many things to do. Amrit, I saw some pictures with you performing the G-Pan, and we didn't really talk about the G-Pan at all. G-Pan compared to the traditional pan, advantages, disadvantages, if there are any at all.
Well, there are pros and cons to everything. Now, the G-Pans that I used were those of the National Steel Symphony Orchestra, which I'm a member of. Now, the thing about the instrument, they have a wider range. But because of the wider range, we were sort of like the guinea pigs trying out this instrument. The band was exclusively furnished with the G-Pans. So, because of the wide range, you find yourself using 2 sticks to gain to the heights and then the lower notes. Because so we developed a system of using 2-sided sticks. So when you go inside, you have a thinner rubber to hit the smaller notes and out. So the huge range is good, but because of the huge range, you have a bigger instrument, which is trouble to transport. There's more money you have to pay freighting. So being a touring group like the National Steel Symphony, it's always an issue when you get them the bill to freight. You understand? Now the conventional instruments they don't go that large. The 55-gallon drum that we use get the same type of sound. The G-Pan, because of the specifics in terms of the gauge of instrument, the gauge of steel and all of that. You get a richer tone, especially down in the back, from the
Yes.
cellos come back.
bass,
Cellos, bass, nothing better than that for me. I think that's the major success of the G-Pans. But in terms of the front line, they could do with some more work. But I hope research keep going on with it.
Well, I could add something to the discussion here. You know? These pans, right? These G-pans really, what it really mean is the normal size, the diameter is normally 23 inches of a 45 or 55 gallon drum, like one of these. Then that diameter is 23 inches. The G-pan, I think, is 27 inches. So it allows the pan to go from these pans here. This one behind us here. The lowest note is middle C on the piano. The G-pan goes from the A below middle C. You know, although they call it G-pan, I remember Bertie Marshall had a problem with that, the late Bertie Marshall. They asked him to tune some G-pans. He said he ain't tuning no G-pan from A. But the G is they have some name they call it. They arrive at the G because of something. But it actually starts from the A below middle C, right? And it has that wide range. But that is not the first time that came on the scene. In the 1960s, Anthony Williams, that genius who created the band Pan Am or North Stars that was sponsored by Pan American World Airways, Tony, he developed this style of pan that we use now, the most dominant style of tenor, fourth and fifth styling, right? Going counterclockwise is intervals of fifths and going clockwise intervals of fourth, right? Now, Tony had a big pan. I remember tuner Brown telling me, Tony move around to different tuners to get their opinions on this big pan. And it is said that when they played with Winifred Atwell in Woodford Square in 1968, they had some of these pans and things with them too, you know. So it's not new. And I remember this G-pan was launched in Trinidad in 2007. Was it?
Yeah.
Right. That when they bring you down from the States, bro.
First class.
Yeah.
First class.
First class.
No.
I was one of the first.
I see these pans in England in steel bands like Ebony and Mangrove and Glissando and them bands. Them had these big pans. We used to call them big pans. Start from the same A, the guitars, the cellos. And it was interesting, you know, because the drums they were using to make it was different from the drums we normally get in.
The toxic drums. So you're putting barrels in them barrels.
No, yes, the drums that they want to dispose nuclear waste, they put it in regular drums and then they put it inside these big stainless steel drums.
And that's the drums.
These stainless steel drums they used to take to tune these big pans and things in England, you know. So that was a whole story with it.
But before you make your point, I apologize. We have a caller on the line. Good evening. Welcome to the discussion. Larry Talk.
Yeah, good evening to the panel. Mark, Ilanzo here, boy.
Hi, Il. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, good man. I was wondering, okay, since the pan is made of steel, okay, what will be if was made up of aluminum? Will you get the same tone, the same sweetness?
No, you can't get
I'd like to ask the professor this question. We listen up there. Thanks a lot.
All right, no problem.
Thank you, Lanzo. It wouldn't work the same way.
Nah, because steel have certain sort of qualities and scientific connections, and this is made up of alloys, this, and I can't explain it properly.
It comes down to vibration too.
And then it's
simple.
Aluminum is a different material, so it wouldn't get the same
when
sound.
You hit aluminum, you hear pack.
Yes.
When you hit steel, you hear ping. Right?
So we were talking about the G-pan and that kind of thing, you know. And I was saying that it wasn't a new invention per se when it came out in 2007 in Trinidad. It existed long before that, you know. But it was a whole hyped up kind of a scene. And then the National Steel Orchestra, they use exclusively that, as Amit was explaining, you know. But it is not available for all steel bands.
No. I think what really led to that hype too. I mean, I wasn't in the decision making, just doing a job. But I think the whole thing was that the patent instrument, to say Trinidad patented the instrument, because we had some issues with some people from the States patenting. They go through the process of patent.
You see that?
The fourth and fifth.
That's a whole issue, because I remember I attended a conference. Again, I had to refer to my days as a Pantry Big officer in 1983. When they were engineering, or when they were now, remember, copyright laws came into Trinidad in 1985, right? in 1983, all around that time, there used to be all kind of seminars and discussions. And the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, they had a session in Hilton that I attended along with a lawyer who was selected by Pan Trinbago to attend. And I posed a question to the panel of experts in intellectual property about the question of patents and that kind of thing. And what they explain is, you know, you have to patent a process. Now, the real mistake that we make, or the error, or the fault line, lies with us not recognizing what we had created and putting all the legal structures in place to protect, enhance it, and profit from it. We just leave it up to what we call vagabond and hooligan, left them first with that. But what they were in fact doing is creating a marketable product that would hit the world by storm.
But jumping off at that point, Esther, we in a lot of problems when it comes to intellectual property.
Yeah, of course.
From that standpoint, as well as things that hit closer to me and Pro, which is the composing and arrangements.
Yes.
Arrangers don't get
nothing.
We don't get copyright rights. We don't get royalties from arrangements that a composer would create 2 minutes, or let me say 2 minutes of music, and we have to expand this thing to 8-10 minutes of music. We don't get any royalties from that because the thing's so grey. It's so grey. So I mean, these are things that we
and not only that, you know, it have a lot of people who would copy all the arrangements, perform it, get money performing it, and none coming to Ahmed, none coming to Pro.
You know,
that's a serious problem.
You know, as we wind down, if you are given the power, the three gentlemen, persons at home looking at you right now, you are given the power to make the changes that you would like to see in the near future. From the three of you, top of your mind, and you are asked to list them.
60%.
What would they be?
60% foreign music, 60% local music, 40% music. Pan as part of the curriculum in the schools, making all stations, make it a must, make it law. You must play pan music. We arrange music every year, Mark. Every year we go to Panorama. You're talking about hundreds of, tens of thousands of songs. Pass some kind of law, educate the little children in the belly that now coming out, so when they reach 10 years, they're hearing pan in their head. They know, well, they're proud to be a Trinidadian, just like a Jamaican, proud to be a Jamaican. That's just my take on the education.
In terms of me, well, that point we just touched on the intellectual property and knowing what are our rights and fixing the problems. Because, as I say, look how long Panorama in existence, and arrangers still don't get money for things that we create. You know what I mean? It's just the bands handle it with a fee, and after that, the music gone. It literally gone. You know, so things like that, and the whole tuning issue, getting younger ones in the fold, taking them to the next level under the tutelage of the masters.
The last minute is yours, Nestor.
I figured the best way forward for me, you see what Amrit and Pro talking about, that is the issue there is education. For me, you had to train people. We had to educate people. Steel band is industry. We have to prepare people to play the role in the industry in a proper way. We had to enact laws and that type of thing to make sure we go forward in a positive way and take care of all the questions that would arise. We have to train people to tune. We have to train people to do what these guys do, arrange and play at the highest level. We have to train people to manage the affairs of these orchestras based in our communities in Trinidad, Tobago, and the Caribbean. We have to train people to do the work of the industry. That is how we would get the benefit. If we just leave it to itself, other people will take it and show us how to make money off of it.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure once again. We're out of time. Nestor Sullivan, Ken Professor Fillmore, Amrit Samaru. Gentlemen, thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your discussion. Thank you for the knowledge. Thank you for the love. And keep on doing what you've been doing. On behalf of Trinidad and Tobago and, of course, us here at TV4, thank you very much for being with us. We've come to the end of another program. Join us next week, Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. right here on TV4. I'm Mark Anthony. Good evening.